So in this podcast, we're going to talk about what makes a diet right for you, how to determine if the diet's right for you, if it's working. And then we're also going to talk about a few of the most common diets out there. And so, the simplest way to know if a diet is right for you is if it makes you feel good, right? So if you have energy, if you're not always hungry, if your digestion isn't like horrible, and off, where you're always going to the bathroom or you have gas or anything like that. Those are three ways to know if a diet is right for you. So again, if your digestion is good, like if it agrees with you digesting your stomach, if you feel pretty good, just like overall energy wise. And then three, if you're able to see progress, if you're seeing results based on whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's weight loss, whether it's weight gain, muscle gain, maintenance. And then number four, also side note, of course, which is super important, is like allow you to, enjoy some of the foods that you like. Of course, like you don't want to be miserable on any diet that you are trying or doing or the way of eating, because that's not sustainable long term. So, those are the main things that you want to focus on when choosing a diet. Okay. How does it make you feel? Does it agree with you digestion-wise? Are you, just happy? Do you enjoy what you're eating? And then are you seeing the progress that you want, right? Now, let's talk about a lot of the different, I guess, diets or ways of eating out there, right? And let's also take a step back and just remember that in order to lose weight, we have to eat less calories, consume less calories, take in less calories than we burn, right? So we all have a number of calories that we pretty much burn every day. This varies day to day based on, activity factors, working out, and probably like how long you're awake and things of that nature. But most of us have, over the course of a week, let's just say, we may burn, like I may burn 2,000 calories on average each day. And that would be my maintenance calories. So if I eat 2,000 calories, I'm going to maintain the same body weight that I currently have. If I eat over that, I'm going to gain weight. If I eat below 2,000, I'm going to lose weight. Now, if I eat, 1,000 calories over the 2,000, so if I eat 3,000 calories per day, I'm going to gain weight faster. If I eat 1,000 calories total, which would be 1,000 calories under that 2,000 calorie mark, I'm going to lose weight faster. And that's pretty simple. That goes for everybody. We all have an amount of calories that we typically would be considered maintenance. Eat less than that, we're going to lose weight. Eat more than that, we're going to gain weight. Okay? Now again, the best diets are going to be the ones that allow us to reach our goals and that we also can just like feel good and enjoy. So let's talk about a lot of popular diets. Let's start with two of the more, I guess, what I would consider, at least for me, restrictive diets. So we have carnivore diet, and then we probably also have like a vegan diet. So now the carnivore diet can work for some people, but it's super restrictive, especially if you are going with what's called, I guess, like strict carnivore, right? Which is just animal-based and like meat products. So like milk, yogurt, and meat, essentially. So it's going to be super high in protein. It's going to be probably really high in fat as well. And this works for some people. For me, it's not my personal favorite just because, again, for me and the way that I like to eat, it's too restrictive. Okay. So even though I love meat and I love protein, I personally also like carbohydrates as well. And it just makes me feel better overall. On the same side, you have a vegan diet. Now, I truly have not met too many people who have not eaten meat and animal products for an extended period of time that did not eventually go back to eating meat and animal products. Typically, we wind up finding that over time, they either lack like energy overall. They just, after a certain amount of time, they don't feel as good, or maybe they're just struggling to get protein in. And, again, that in itself is really, really making it hard for them. But if you're a vegan, it means no animal products at all. And it's mostly, vegetables and vegetarian based. At the same time, a lot of times what happens when people eat a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet, especially if they're eating some of the foods that are like an Impossible Burger as an example, there's a ton of ingredients. And a lot of times these meat substitutes are super high in carbs, processed foods or ingredients, and they can also just be high in like fat as well. So, like you think you're eating a burger alternative, and a burger is high in protein, but the alternative, the vegan option, oftentimes is super low in protein and is actually high in carbohydrates and calories. And so again, I don't personally like vegan for people. I would never recommend it, but if that's their way of eating, they just need to find a way to make sure that they're not eating super high carb, high processed foods, and that they're getting protein in. Another really, really popular diet is the paleo diet. The paleo diet is pretty well balanced. It's mainly like meat, nuts, seeds, some fruit, low starch, right, if any, and vegetables. Okay, so a paleo diet is definitely a really healthy way to eat because you're probably going to get a good amount of healthy fats, you're going to get enough protein, and you are going to get some carbohydrates from vegetables and fruit. This could be a good way to eat for a lot of people. For me, again, I like having like my potatoes and rice and some pastas. So the paleo diet just isn't my personal choice, but it can be extremely beneficial for those people who are trying to lose some weight because it will help reduce calories and carbohydrates mainly overall. So paleo diet is definitely a good option for a lot of people. Another diet is the keto diet. And this is more like you're eating to get your body into ketosis, which is why it's called the keto diet. And in order to get your body into ketosis, you have to eat super, super low carbohydrate for an extended period of time, typically longer than a week, to actually get into ketosis. And so keto diet is just kind of like, it's essentially the Atkins diet from like the past, super low carb. You're going to eat like higher fat and high protein, which can work for a lot of people. And now the carnivore diet could be considered a keto style diet because that probably would put you into ketosis. And again, that's one of the benefits of the carnivore diet. But when you're on keto, you can probably eat more foods than the carnivore diet. It just has to be low in carbohydrates, like super low in carbohydrates. So keto diet can work, but again, cutting out that carbohydrate food group, for me, not my favorite option. And then the last diet that I'm going to talk about today, which is probably my personal favorite way of just eating. And it's been this way for over 20 years now. I'm 38, and this is going back to even when I was in college getting my nutrition degree. That's the zone diet. And so I remember being in college and my teachers, preaching to me a balanced diet, right? But then they would also give us these ranges with the recommendations and the food pyramid and all that stuff of carbohydrates, pretty much 45 to 65% of the diet. And then, of course, if you're eating 65% of your calories from carbohydrates, then you only have 35% of your calories that are going to come from fat and protein. So I was always like, well, how is this balance? You're teaching us balance, you're preaching balance, but this isn't actually balance. So that always was weird to me. And so that's when the zone diet became pretty popular. Again, this is going back 20 years. And the zone diet is about 40% of your calories are going to be from carbohydrates, 30% of your calories are going to be from fat, 30% of your calories are going to be from protein. And again, if you wanted to like change up those ratios, you probably could, and it just wouldn't be like true zone. Those are the zone proportions, but that would be completely fine and way more balanced than any of the other diets. And so once again, it's about 40% of your calories are going to come from carbs, like like grains, rice, potatoes, starches, stuff like that. 30% from protein. That's your meats and poultry and chicken, steak, fish, stuff like that. And then 30% of your calories are going to come from fat. Some of that fat may be from the animal sources, right? Some of the fats might also be in the form of olive oil and avocado. And a lot of people who follow Like the Mediterranean diet would be an example of probably the zone diet. And once again, that's the diet that I personally use myself, is probably zone proportions, where I'm getting a balanced amount of starches and carbohydrates, a balanced amount of protein, and a balanced amount of fats. It's the most sustainable for me. It allows me to not only just like, once again, check those boxes, right? Like digestion is good. I feel good energy wise. I am allowed, I can reach my goals, whether I want to maintain my current weight or body mass. And I also can just like, it's not super restrictive. So I can follow it whether I'm eating at home or eating out at a restaurant. It's pretty easy to get some rice, some meat, and then maybe some vegetables. And you can pretty much follow that anywhere you are. And once again, that's just what works for me and what I personally recommend for a lot of my clients. And then from there, if they have weight loss goals, it's like, okay, hey, let's eat a little less carbohydrates to reduce your calories, and from there. The other thing that we also just didn't talk about overall is, of course, in these diets you have options, right? And so now it's about picking healthier options. Rather than have French fries, I could have a baked potato or a baked sweet potato, or like roasted potatoes, or rice, which would be a better option, which again is going to help me eat less calories. So I hope this was helpful, guys, just explaining to you some of the popular diets out there. And again, just my current way of eating, my recommendations in terms of balance. And just remember, on any of these diets, if you do want to get stronger and build lean muscle, you do need to have a diet higher in protein. And so some of these diets make it a little bit easier, but at the same time, that's why I personally love the zone diet and like Mediterranean way of eating, just because it's balanced, it's easy to get some carbs, some proteins, and some healthy fats. Once again, I hope you found this helpful.